I'm Dennis Anderson along with Julie Zenner, and here's what's coming up on Almanac North.
St. Louis County's 2023 budget passed this week includes a levy increase, but that does not necessarily mean your property taxes are going up.
Duluth schools are looking for tutors. We'll have a report on the need and how students and tutors both gain from that experience.
And WDSE is introducing a new cooking show for kids, and we're looking for young chefs to be part of the show.
Those stories and voices of the region up next on Almanac North. Hello once again and welcome to Almanac North. Thank you very much for watching. And Julie, our region really got walloped with a winter storm this week.
It certainly did. Reminds us all why we live here, right?
Exactly right. I love to shovel snow. We'll
too.
have more on the storm in the headlines, of course.
All right. Thank you, Denny.
bet.
Welcome, everyone. Blizzard conditions nearly shut down our entire region this week as the first major winter storm of the season pummeled northern Minnesota and Wisconsin. Nearly 30 inches of the white stuff fell along the North Shore, and 20-plus inches came down in Duluth and vicinity. Neighborhoods close to Lake Superior and the city of Superior received smaller amounts, but traffic was snarled and many businesses and schools closed. A little more snow is expected this weekend before nighttime temperatures drop below zero next week.
15,000 nurses this week ratified a new contract, avoiding a strike at Twin Ports and Twin Cities hospitals. The 3-year contracts include annual pay raises and wording that addresses short staffing. Nurses at St. Luke's Lakeview Hospital in Two Harbors withdrew their intent to strike notice in a show of good faith as contract negotiations continue.
Students whose families qualify could receive 4 years of tuition free at UW Superior and other UW schools in Wisconsin. The Wisconsin Tuition Promise provides tuition and fee funding for up to 4 years for students from families earning less than $62,000 annually. The program will begin in the fall of 2023 for new students who qualify.
And a young woman from Wausau, Wisconsin won the Miss America competition last night in Connecticut. Grace Stanke was crowned Miss America 2023 and took home a $50,000 scholarship. Stanke is a senior studying nuclear engineering at UW-Madison.
The St. Louis County Board passed the county's 2023 budget this week at $453 million. The budget includes a levy increase of a little over 4%, but some homeowners will actually see a decrease in the county portion of their tax bill. Here to tell us more is County Commissioner Keith Nelson, chair of the county's Finance Committee, and Kevin Gray is the St. Louis County Administrator. And welcome. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having us.
Our pleasure.
Commissioner Nelson, let's start with you. The property tax levy is higher than it was last year, but some people might not see an increase in their property taxes. How does that work?
Well, inflation certainly has taken its toll here in St. Louis County as prices increase on all of the commodities that we purchase to serve our community. But if you look overall at our complex tax structure, yes, it could some people will see increases, some people will see decreases in their taxes, depending on where they're at in the county, depending on what type of home they have, what it's valued at. A lot of factors come into that in this state.
Mm-hmm. Kevin, the state of Minnesota has 2 different types of property tax refunds. Can you explain those for our viewers?
Oh, you would throw that one at me for sure. I have 4 letters or numbers. M1PR. That is the state property tax refund form that affords any property taxpayer the opportunity, if their property taxes grow at a certain rate or if they're income qualified, to apply for 2 different types of refunds. Of course, there's a whole different series of refunds available to our veterans and their surviving spouses in some cases regarding valuations and taxes. But M1PR is a form that every taxpayer should at least look at if their taxes went up in any significant way.
Mm-hmm. Good to know.
So $453 million is a big number. For people who aren't familiar with the St. Louis County budget, can you maybe break down those big areas where the county needs to provide services?
Sure. And it is a big budget and lots of moving parts. But in broad category terms, a couple of the bigger investment areas include our public health and human services. And of course, we were talking before the show a little bit about public health and even my unique circumstance with COVID. They've played a considerable impact role this past few years. And human services touches so many lives in St. Louis County. But about half the budget is health and human services and public works, where this year we had, I believe, a $65 million construction program, and we're looking at a similar level of investment. So half of the budget is related to health and human services and our public works. The rest is really a mix of public safety investments, the attorney's office, the sheriff's office, and jail. And then, of course, we've got our general government functions, the things that people really lean into, like our vital records and our service center at the mall, if you want to get your tab fees and things like that, and all the other government functions, as well as other areas like debt service that support a lot of our investments in buildings and roads.
And Keith, you praised your fellow board members and staff for their fiscal management, for keeping the county what you believe to be, quote, a really good financial position. Talk to us about that.
Well, it's important that in government that you have reserves. It's important in government that you manage those reserves properly so that you can take care of that ebb and flow that occurs on an annual basis. And St. Louis County, I would put St. Louis County up against any of the other 87 counties in the state of Minnesota in terms of fiscal management. And that's a result truly of our administration, our auditor's office, and the staff that we employ throughout, keeping an eye on all of those investments and all of the little things that a lot of people don't notice, but they're occurring on a regular basis.
You mentioned before rising costs that are impacting the county like everyone else who lives in the county. The public works and construction projects, is that starting to impact the budgets for those that may have been approved under earlier budgets and now the costs are higher than expected?
Well, we're seeing some increase in bituminous, our blacktopping.
Yeah.
We just did some bids just this past week, and we saw some increases. Obviously, fuel costs are going up, so even the general maintenance on all of our roads is being driven up by the cost of fuel. But yes, the construction projects are going to be affected this coming year, but we're already bidding the summer projects in December of the year before, and we're trying to do that to capture some of the good deals that are out there right now. These construction companies want to book their work early.
Kevin, how does a person qualify for homestead classification, and what is disability homestead?
The homestead qualification, and this is, I'm going to put in a plug for reaching out to our assessor's office, and that number is on our website. But to qualify for homestead, there's a series of timelines, and you need to do it before the end of the calendar year to ensure that you've got homestead status if you're indeed occupying your home. On the disability homestead side, that's a unique classification that I candidly don't know as much about it. I probably should. But again, I would just reach out to our website and to our assessor's office for that background. We really are focused on helping people, not driving up their values. And by the way, the values are up because of a hot residential market. Correspondingly, our commercial properties aren't growing as fast. So that's part of a different mix of who's paying the taxes and things too. But our assessor's office is really working to try and help get a fair valuation for all types of properties, whether it's homestead, disability homestead, or commercial, and they're a great resource.
Of course, we had the big winter storm this week, and there's a chance that the county snowplow drivers and public works could potentially authorize a strike next week. Where do things stand with that, and how concerned are you that that could happen in the middle of winter?
I look forward to calmer voices to prevail. I think that we have, we're very, very fortunate in St. Louis County to have the Teamsters unit that does all of our road plowing, and they do a great job. But I do think calmer voices are going to prevail. And I don't believe that we're going to see that unit go out this year. If they do, we do have contingency plans in place, and our board is very much aware of what's going on.
All right. Well, gentlemen, thank you so much for coming in, and happy holidays to you.
Happy,
Thank you.
Thank
happy
you.
holidays
Keith,
and
thank
Merry
you very
Christmas
much.
to you all, too.
Merry Christmas to you.
Okay.
Thank you. With the new year only a few weeks away, students are getting ready for their holiday break. At the same time, staff at the Duluth School District is on the lookout for new tutors to help pupils stay on track for graduation. Producer Megan McGarvey spoke with the folks at Reading Corps on the need for tutors and the impact they have on those they help.
When I was living in the cities, I was looking for volunteer opportunities, and I think February of 2020 I applied for Reading Corps. I wanted to try tutoring full-time and working with a whole caseload of students, and I thought that would be a good fit for me. I work with about 16 to 18 students per day. I would say that's a pretty regular, like full-time caseload, and depending on what grade they're in or what reading level they're at, that kind of dictates which intervention we use. So for the kindergartners, we practice a lot of letter sounds, a lot of like phonics, listening to words being put together and having them put sounds together. And then that goes all the way up to third grade, where they're reading full passages. Maybe we'll mix in like a fun book like once a week or so, and kind of trying to help them transition to reading to learn instead of learning to read.
We're a very strategic program, so we use evidence-based literacy and math scripts so that our tutors are using that specific tool that they're being trained on so that they can be successful no matter what walk of life they're coming in from. So we've got tutors right out of high school all the way through retirement, all providing the same structure across the state of Minnesota, and proving that it's working time and time again to help students reach and exceed that grade level. The need is great here in Minnesota and here in Duluth specifically. We've got 8 tutoring positions that are open and ready to go for January.
So this is my 3rd year of Reading Corps, and over the last several years, I've had the chance to work with I've had a lot of success stories, and especially, having seen some of the darkest days of the pandemic and seeing students who are really struggling in 2020 and 2021, and seeing them sort of come out the other side in a good place where I have a lot of confidence in their ability to read at grade level for the rest of their academic career. And one student in particular who I've worked with that just graduated last Friday, I've worked with him every single day since he was in 1st grade, and we had a lot of issues with behavior and with motivation. He would come to my desk, and some days it was just a matter of like getting him to read 1 or 2 sentences, and now he's reading 140 words a minute and is super motivated to continue reading, is very proud of himself, is able to his emotions in a better in check, and seeing him grow emotionally and academically has been super rewarding for me, and that makes me feel like this job is really improving people's lives.
The biggest thing that I've noticed talking with our tutors and seeing our students in the school setting, that they're growing in their skills, and one of the biggest things that I've heard from our tutors is that they're gaining just as much from this experience as those students are. So they're just getting to see these students maybe really appreciate reading or math or a subject that they maybe weren't thrilled about in the beginning, and they're really enjoying this subject now. And I think that is just something that is so impactful and empowering to see.
The thing that's kept me coming back every year has been having the opportunity to have relationships with these students that is one-on-one, and it's not as rigid as being a classroom teacher, so you can kind of meet them where they're at every day, and you don't have to necessarily try to manage a bunch of students all at once. You can really sort of go as slow or as fast as a student needs. That's been something that I've really enjoyed. I've gotten to build these really deep relationships with students and kind of build their trust, because I think that's something that's really important for learning any subject, is to have a trusting relationship with whoever's trying to teach you.
If you have a love for education, seeing students succeed, wanting to be that difference in someone's life, this is an opportunity for you.
Do you know a youngster who loves to cook? WDSE is looking for kids from grades 3 through 8 for our new series, The Great Minnesota Recipe Junior. Here to tell us more is Isaac Quick, WDSE's producer of this new program. Good to see you, Isaac. Thanks for coming in.
Yeah.
So this sounds like just an amazing opportunity for some young foodies in our area. Tell us about the show and what's being planned.
Yeah, so we're doing two specials. One is a summer-themed special where students will get to show us their favorite picnic snacks, desserts, or little sandwiches, things like that. And then the second one is a holiday special where they'll get to show us, again, treats, baking treats, things like that they love to make with their families.
So Isaac, you're looking for some youngsters to take part in the production of this program. How can they apply and who can apply?
Yeah, anyone from grades 3 to 8 can apply. We're looking for students that are excited to cook on TV, really, and that are comfortable in the kitchen alone. And it's super easy to apply. All you have to do is head to WDSE.org.
So it's great to have kids who've got some cooking background.
Absolutely. Yeah, I don't think first-time cooks are probably the market here, but we're looking for kids that have some experience and want to show off.
So I looked at the application page on the website, and it says that you're asking people to submit a video, if possible.
Yes.
And if they can't, to contact the producers. So talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. So we certainly want to open this up to as many kids as possible and make it as accessible as possible. So if someone doesn't have the ability to send in a video, I will set up a phone call with them. I can go meet them in person, or we can do a Zoom call like that to make sure that everyone has access to it.
And what are you looking for in the contestants besides just cooking ability? Because, you know, do they have to have charisma? Do they have to have,
Yeah, absolutely.
you know, some other experiences, life experiences?
Yeah, I like to say we're looking for people that have a zest for life. Kids that really want to talk, you know, and tell us what their experience is in cooking, why they are excited to be, I keep saying cooking, but why they're excited to be in the kitchen, what makes food important to them. And then we're looking for kids that will bring a little bit of energy when they're cooking.
Tell us more a little bit about the specials that are going to be taped, the two of them. What will those shows include?
Yeah, so it'll be a friendly competition. There's going to be 3 students each in each special. They'll compete against each other, and then we'll have a judge and a host that will make the decision on who has the best flavor profile, who has the most creative presentation, and then really what the judges like best.
And I understand that the kids' adults, their parents or guardians or whoever is with them overseeing, will also be able to be on TV a little bit.
Yes, absolutely. So we call them confessionals, you know, those times where the contestant or the parent get to talk off the cooking set, but they get to tell us a little bit more about them, and so we're going to be including the parents in that. We want to see how they interact with their kids, parents or guardians, and then we'll get to hear a little bit about what they think of their student and why they're excited to have them on TV.
Now, go ahead.
Oh, is it surprising to you at all how competent kids are in the kitchen? Because I've watched other cooking shows and it's just like, wow, how do these kids know so much?
I don't think it's surprising, really. I think it just speaks to, one, a desire to learn and to be creative, but then it also is something to do with the people that are raising them, parents or guardians, and it shows that there's a lot to be learned in the kitchen and that kids can do a lot.
Do you think there are large numbers of children who love to cook?
Oh, I think so. I certainly loved to cook when I was a kid, and I'm not very good at it, let's be honest. So did I. But, you know, learning to cook was a lot of fun for me with my parents, and so I think there's a lot of them out there.
And this comes on the heels of the Great Minnesota Recipe, which was a huge success.
Absolutely.
Will you have more of that program for adult too?
Yes, so we're currently in production for our second season of the Great Minnesota Recipe, and we're actually filming these specials on the same set. So the kids will get to be on the same set that the adults are on, and we're filming them at the same time.
And when will they appear on the air?
The Great Minnesota Recipe is coming back in June, and then there will be a special in August, and then a special around the holiday time, November, December.
Sounds
All
like
right.
fun.
Isaac Quick, thank you so much. Good luck
Thanks so much.
as you seek the cast for these programs.
Thank you.
Thanks, Isaac, very much. Well, time now for Voices of the Region, featuring area journalists and the stories they are covering. This week we talked with the Timberjay news publisher Marshall Helmberger in Tower.
So a federal judge this week rejected a plea by Twin Metals, the company seeking to build a copper nickel mine near Ely, to hear their case challenging the Biden administration's decision to cancel their mineral leases earlier this year. Judge Trevor McFadden, a conservative Trump appointee, had ruled in favor of Twin Metals back in 2020 when he found that the Trump administration had acted within its authority when it restored 2 federal mineral leases critical for the company's hopes to build its mine. That case had been filed by a coalition of Ely area businesses and environmental groups who had sought to reverse the Trump administration decision. McFadden might have had a sympathetic ear for Twin Metals' arguments then, but in a December 9th ruling, McFadden soundly rejected the company's request that he hear their new case, which is challenging the Biden administration's cancellation of the leases as a related case. As McFadden noted in his 3-page order, cases filed with the courts are supposed to be assigned randomly to judges within the district in which they're filed. The rule guarantees, he wrote, equal distribution of all cases and avoids public perception or appearance of favoritism in assignments and reduces opportunities for judge shopping. While the decision by McFadden wasn't a surprise, given the federal rules at issue, it was a blow to Twin Metals' efforts to have their case heard by a potentially more sympathetic judge. Instead, the case has now been assigned to Judge Christopher Cooper, an Obama appointee who has sat on the D.C. Circuit Court since 2014. Cooper will now hear Twin Metals' claim that the Biden administration acted improperly when it canceled its 2 federal mineral leases. We're also reporting on some wildlife research we initially reported on back in 2019. That's when biologist Michael Joyce had installed over 100 nest boxes designed to meet the specific needs of fisher, which are Minnesota's largest member of the weasel family. Joyce had hoped his project would reveal a potential solution to what appears to be a significant decline in the fisher population in Minnesota. Now, however, it's back to the drawing board after 3 years of monitoring these boxes revealed that while fishers and many other forest critters occasionally sat on them, climbed on them, and even crawled inside them, it appears no fisher ever used one of the boxes for nesting purposes. Regardless, you have to give Joyce an A for effort. As basic science goes, this was a near Herculean task to build, haul, hang, and monitor all of the boxes, each of which weighed 55 pounds and had to be hauled a considerable distance into the woods before being hung in a tree. Joyce works for the Natural Resources Research Institute, and he had help along the way from various field technicians, as well as some students from Vermilion Community College. And given that science is all about expanding knowledge, even a negative result on his experiment is still valuable. And finally, we're reporting on Christmas bird counts, which are scheduled to get underway across northeastern Minnesota over the next couple weeks. This annual bird count was established by the Audubon Society way back in 1900 as an alternative to New Year's Day bird shoots, which were a popular activity at the time. But over the past 122 years, the data gathered by the thousands of participants across North America who take part in these bird counts every year have provided extremely valuable insight into bird population trends and changes in their ranges over time. The counts take place in a count circle that's 15 miles in diameter, and birders hit the back roads, backwoods, and bird feeders in their designated routes to tabulate all the birds they find. It's a classic example of citizen science, and it's a great way for novice birders to learn more about the winter birds in their area, since they're often paired up with more experienced birders. Anyone interested in taking part in the bird count can go online. Just Google Audubon Christmas bird count, and you'll find an interactive map showing all the places where the counts will be held. You can click on any of the locations on the map, and it will give you contact information for area counts.
We are out of time, but it's easy to keep up with our show by following Almanac North on Facebook and Twitter. Visit the WDSE website for program updates, news about the station, and upcoming events. And download the PBS video app to watch your favorite programs on demand. And Julie, a note for our viewers, this is our very last Almanac North program of 2022. We're going to be off for the next 2 weeks, 2 Fridays from now, and our next program will be Friday, January the 6th. So I guess it's see you next year, Julie.
Yeah, and see you next year to all of the folks out there. Merry Christmas to you.
Merry Christmas to you as well, and Merry Christmas to all of our viewers as well, too. With Julie Zenner, I'm Dennis Anderson. Happy holidays, everyone, and be kind.